Hey guys, thank you for joining us on Being Extra. We're going to talk about some of the movie news that's going on in the world today. So, the biggest news that came out this past week was that the Snyder Cut is being released in 2021 on HBO Max, and I, for one, am very excited. I'm not saying that the movie is going to be great, but I do want to see Snyder's original vision, which to me is very intriguing. Everything that he had envisioned, and he said that we only saw 1/4 of what he actually made. So very interesting. Jason Momoa, he has seen it. He lobbied for it. He's happy that it finally happened. So 2021, let's all get that HBO, subscription going, and let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes. I'm still rooting for it. I like the Ben Affleck Batman. I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I like that crew. I just think they're rushing into it too quickly. But it already happened. It's past. We have a new Batman. Henry Cavill might not be back, but hopefully the Snyder Cut will be something, to be remembered as something great. I'm happy that they're taking their time on it. I know it's not finished, so they have to do all the CGI, all the color grading, everything that's going on. So that's why they're not releasing it right away. Not like when Avengers released some deleted scenes that were not finished, to try to make it over the 3 billion mark. But we'll see what happens with that. Next in news, the 2021 Oscars might be delayed. We do not know when they're going to come out. They're going to be postponed. We don't know if it's going to take months or a whole nother year, which there's not that many movies coming out this year, so I understand. And they did make the rule that only this year streaming movies can make it into the Oscars, only for 1 year because of the whole quarantine. But one movie that is coming out is Tenet. The Tenet trailer released. It looks amazing. It looks like another big Christopher Nolan spectacle. I cannot wait for it. So if they did the 2021 Oscars next year, Tenet might just win everything, I mean, that's how it might go down. So let's see what happens with the Oscars. Even if they take a year off, that's okay. I think that's fine. They should just take the year off to regroup. The whole film industry is down right now, so no new movies are being shot at the moment. Only some movies are filming or smaller projects, and Michael Bay seems to be the only one filming a movie right now at the moment. So let's see what he has in store for us. Next in news, The Wrong Missy came out. The new movie with the executive producer, Adam Sandler. Now, do you guys remember when Adam Sandler got the Oscar snub and he said, "I'm going to make the worst movie ever"? This might be it. The Wrong Missy has a lot of physical comedy. I was not a fan of it. Some people enjoyed it. Some people laughed at it, but I was not a big fan of it. It might be his, rebuttal. It might be his revenge for not getting the Oscar nomination, which he deserved. I know there was a lot of competition that year, but with Joker and all, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but this might be his rebuttal, his revenge for not getting the Oscar nomination. It might not be. It might just he maybe was just making a movie for Netflix, but I think he knew what he was doing. Guys, new to watch. YouTube, Kevin James. That's all. Kevin James has an amazing YouTube channel. I do not know what team he has behind the camera, but it's amazing. They're inserting him into movies holding the boom mic, and they do the lighting perfectly. They insert him perfectly being into the movies. I do not know how they do it. I've been working in movies for 3 to 4 years now, and I'm still amazed at how they do some things, especially this Kevin James YouTube channel. I think it's amazing. You guys need to check it out. Watch it. And coming up next, I have an interview with my good friend James Stacey. He's been in front of the camera, behind the camera. He's been on Walking Dead, I, Tonya. He's been in Little Women Atlanta, Love is Blind. So just, stick around. This is a fun interview, very fun interview I got to do with my friend. So here it is. Welcome, guys, to Being Extra. Today I'm joined by my good friend, James Stacey. How are you doing, James?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing today?
Doing great, man. It's good to see you. Good to talk back to some of my old friends from the movie industry throughout this quarantine. How are you doing in this quarantine right now?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I actually found a backup job just to keep me busy because there's nothing out there for us right now, unfortunately. And when I have some downtime, I've been working on my own YouTube channel and doing some unboxing videos. So, I'm finding ways to stay busy.
Yeah, James has an awesome YouTube channel unboxing, toys, action figure, Legos that he builds himself. It's pretty cool. One of my favorite ones. I checked out your channel, and I like I don't know, I forgot the name of it. It's like Mega Pikachu, something like that, like the Lego Pikachu.
Big, like foot tall Pikachu.
Yes. How long did that take to make?
Took, I think, a couple hours, mainly because my camera overheats a lot. So it took a lot of stopping and starting was the big holdup. And I think currently it's probably the biggest set I've built on set. I've got a couple waiting in the wings that probably have some more pieces. I know one for sure, but yeah, the slowing down point mainly is just if I wasn't filming it, if I didn't have to stop and let my camera cool down, change angles, I can build them pretty fast. But with the video, it takes a little bit longer.
That's good, man. They're awesome. Do you have anything coming up that you're gonna unbox that you could give us a little preview here?
I've got a couple of videos that I just did my portion of the recording. I usually film the unboxing and then like all the detail shots, and then later on I'll do the me talking part of it. So I got those. They're all kind of set up, but I have a couple pieces that afterwards I'm going to be doing. I've been doing the 20th anniversary Lego Star Wars sets.
Nice.
This is not the next one, but the one after that. It's may or not be my last one because there's a bigger set that I just don't know if it's financially responsible to buy right now, So I'm kind of holding off on it.
Hey, we might get another stimulus check. You never know.
You never know. I could swing it. And then I've also got this Batman action figure with the lovely Adam West.
Oh man, that is cool.
I've been looking forward to unboxing this bad boy because I love me some of the 60s Batman. It's still my favorite and one of the best versions. So I'm looking forward to building this. I wish I had a couple of villains, but they're back home. Like my collection's kind of split up. So unfortunately, he doesn't get to hang out with Riddler and Joker. But one day is when I get all my collection together, he'll get to sit beside them.
Oh, I love that Batman, the very campy Batman. I don't know if on YouTube you saw Warner Brothers drop the history of the Batmobile. Did you see that?
The history of the Batmobile. I hadn't seen that yet. I'm going to have to watch that.
Yeah, Warner Brothers dropped it on YouTube, and it's an awesome watch. It's about 45 minutes. It's free on YouTube. Recommended. Highly recommended, man.
Yeah, check it out. Sounds cool. I love Batman, and he's got a fascinating history.
Yeah, they talk about how like the Batmobile is like a character itself. It's an awesome thing. Yeah, but that's good, man. Well, one more time, his YouTube channel is called James Stacey. I will drop the link below, so you guys, check it out. He's gonna drop new stuff. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm still kind of inconsistent about it. I tried when I started to do a new video every week, so the videos might be spread out, but they're still coming. So watch and then stick around.
Awesome. By the way, I love the background, man. Like, did you do that yourself?
No, I got this at Spirit Halloween when they clearance all their crap off at the end of the year, and saw it and I was like, I got to get that. That's pretty cool. And then we have a bad habit around here of not taking down our Halloween decorations, so it just kind of stays up because it's neat. It lights up.
Oh, dude, like if I could turn my camera around, me and my wife leave our Christmas decorations, like the lights, they're still up. They just make it year after year,
It saves time. You don't have to worry about taking them down and putting them up.
My last office job, way back, they used to have a Christmas tree. Instead of taking it down, they just added decorations for each holiday. So Valentine's, St. Patrick's, that's smart.
That's perfect. That's a great idea.
Okay, so James, so you, my friend, have been on both sides of the camera, in front of it and behind it on the crew side. Is there one you prefer at all?
I really prefer behind the camera on crew side. Whenever I've been in front of the camera, it's just kind of a way to, make ends meet, get a paycheck, usually get a meal and spend some time reading a book. And, it's always good that even if you can't be on set in the position you want to be, it's nice to still be on a set because then it still keeps you fresh, keeps you used to how sets running. And usually it's pretty fun being an extra. It depends upon the show. Some of them can be a little grueling, but a lot of them can be an enjoyable experience with a lot of fun people, fun scenes. You get to know about stuff that's happening before they're out in the theaters. You got to learn to keep your mouth shut, but there are worse ways to spend your time, and there's a lot of being an extra is fun, sometimes challenging, but usually pretty simple.
Do you ever feel weird when you go like one day, like as a day player, going from crew to another day as an extra, or is it just an easy transition?
I've done that a couple of times. The big one was on the last season, The Vampire Diaries. I was a lockup PA in downtown Atlanta for like the final episode. And then I think a week later, I was an extra, like a cultist who got killed or something. So that was a little weird because then the PAs sometimes recognize you, sometimes they don't.
Right.
I had a buddy on there, so it was cool running into him again. So typically when that happens, it's not on a show that I know that I don't have that relationship with people a lot. I haven't like worked with that crew a lot. So typically I'm there as a day player once and then, that's the only time they see me. So most of the time with all the faces you see as a crew, they doubtfully even remember me a lot of the times. But it can be kind of awkward.
Yeah. No, I've been there too, man, from crew to extra. And I mean, like you said, yeah, however we can pay the bills, right? But as long as we are on a set, that's how I feel. If they call me behind the camera, if they call me in front of it, I just want to be on the set, you know?
Yeah.
And keeping your mouth shut, if anybody does extra, and I will drop some links on how you can become an extra when everything opens up again. Yeah, you just got to keep your mouth shut, no pictures. People love to take pictures. It's just, don't do it, guys.
All the time.
Yeah, and I just saw you as a crew on a show I can't talk about yet because it's not out. All I can say is going to come out on Disney Plus. That's all I'll say. And I'll probably have you back when that show comes out. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, that was a crazy fun experience. I got to be pretty close to some cool stuff. There was like 50 PAs there that day because we were locking up Atlantic Station,
Wow.
and it was a full house. It wasn't as bad as we thought it was. I don't know why. I guess nobody was out in Atlantic Station. I think I had to talk to like 2 or 3 people, and that was it. So it was a daunting task when I got the call for the job, and then it turned out to be a really simple, easy day that was a fun experience. But yeah, can't talk about that yet. We'll definitely chat about it in the future for sure.
Yeah, man. And the one thing I will say about that day is that some of us extras had to be kind of like lockup PAs because some of the shops, the people working there, they would come out. We're like, guys, don't come out, like not yet.
Yeah.
And then when we didn't mind it because we knew, the rest of the crew was very busy doing other work, so we couldn't wait for them to stop them. So we will stop them ourselves. Like, no, don't go through yet. And it's just people working there. Some people live there in Atlantic Station, so there's nothing you can do then. But yeah, we will talk about that in the future, man. But I will talk to you about a show that you told me that you did a PA on, and that is Love is Blind, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, in my opinion, that is a crazy show. I mean, reality just they keep making new things up. But how was that? How was that experience?
Well, you think watching it was a crazy show, making it was crazy. So I wasn't involved with the whole show. I was just involved with basically what turned out to be the first episode. But for me, it was 2 weeks of work. Wow. It was everything that happened in studio when they did the pods for the blind dates up to when they met each other for the first time. Mm-hmm. And we were constantly still working on the set. Like even at the time when we got to filming, they were still painting, building, the room where they meet each other for the first time and they come out from one end to the other. That design, I think, changed multiple times from when we finally got it. And so when we actually filmed that moment, the paint was still wet. It was literally like the night before we were still painting. There was so much stuff to do for the art team that we were almost painting 24/7. We had teams come in overnight, and then the morning teams would come back and relieve the overnight, and then would keep rotating out like that. It was a monster of a show. There was tons of moving pieces, tons of people in and out. Cast had to be kept separated. which we did. You know, some shows fake it and say like, oh, they actually met, they know each other. But no, the guys and the gals for this one, they didn't meet until that reveal at the end. They were completely separated from different sides of studios. If they had to go to the bathroom or go get their meals, they were always accompanied by somebody. They were very careful to make sure they never saw each other except through that, you know, foggy glass. And I didn't really interact with the cast. We had different people for that. I was really just like a set studio. I was taking care of the crew, helping out wherever I can, kind of thing. There are lots of crazy things happen, though. I know the first night we filmed, the guys blew through their whole alcohol supply. They drank us out of house and home. So they were well liquored for their time being there. We had to up the amount of booze we bought for that show.
Oh my God.
And it was nuts. They just didn't anticipate how much they needed to buy. So we were filming in Pinewood, which is one of the biggest studios in Atlanta, and we were filming the same time that they were doing reshoots for Avengers Endgame. So there were stuff happening around us that we were privileged to see and could never talk about. The very first piece of paperwork we had to sign wasn't even for our show. It was an NDA for Marvel.
Are you serious?
Yeah. But since, you know, the movie's out and I can spoil some stuff now, it was pretty cool getting to drive the golf cart around stuff and seeing all that. I mean, I saw Thanos' hut from like the first, I think 15 minutes of the movie. Saw lots of like HQ pieces and like all the stuff that they're fighting around in the final battle. Saw Iron Man's helmet, like a bust that they have that I guess they walk on a set and then they can see what the lighting does to it. So that way digitally they can recreate it later. I saw a coil. I think it might have been her stand-in. That was one of the things that was a little tricky. You never know if you saw an actor or a stand-in. Some folks swear they saw Chris Evans. I was never that lucky. But it was kind of cool and neat seeing all that stuff happen while we were doing our thing. And then anyway, before I got off of that tangent, the pain in the ass thing we had to do was set up lunch tents every day. You know, most people have like a room or a setup that they can just keep it. For some reason or another, with the area we had in the studio and the stage, we could only set up our lunch tents for the lunch period. And we had to break it down at the end of the day, every day, and then set up the tables and chairs. So this is like a crew of almost 300 people, I think, on the busiest days. So we had to set up tables and chairs for all those people and then take them down again at the end of the day and then do that all over the next day. It was crazy. But we had great caterers and the food was always delicious. So that made it kind of worth it. But that was a pain.
Dude, how many different jobs did you have on that show? You explained like 3 or 4 different things you did, dude.
You know, with PAs, especially in reality shows, you put your hands in just about everything. If it's non-union, then you find yourself helping camera, moving lights. With Love is Blind, it was really a lot of going on runs, moving stuff around, making sure there's lots of drinks and stuff in the coolers, and so that way crew don't get thirsty. Our crafty people kind of sucked on that one, so we were constantly having to go around and restock crafty. Usually we get somebody to do that, so you know we were looking forward to them when they got there, and then they turned out to be not very good at their jobs, so that turned out to be another thing the PAs had to worry about. And then, you know, we also had to lock up the hallway every time they brought people in to do dates. We helped paint. We helped lay down the carpet. We helped set up the rooms. There were 7 or 8 PAs, and we were everywhere. We had to do just about anything they needed, kind of stuff. So
you guys did, you know, from catering to art department to like regular PA work. That's crazy. I've never heard that before. That's the first time. But reality television is different from a regular movie or TV. Is that correct?
So with like I've been involved with a lot of smaller shows. It's like a crew of like less than 10 people, and then you definitely have to put your hands on a lot of stuff. I know Love is Blind started out as non-union and then flipped, I think, a week into it. So we were able to do a lot of stuff in the beginning, and then limited by union rules, we couldn't do as much later on. But yeah, for reality, it's a different beast from scripted. Scripted, you very much have to stay in your lane. If you're a lockup PA, that's pretty much all you can do a lot of the times. You can't even touch art stuff unless they give you explicit permission. So if you're wanting to get like experienced in a lot of different departments, reality PA is a good place to start because you get all that experience and more.
That's true, man. That's good advice. I like that. Oh man, reality sounds crazy. Well, I wanted to talk to you about another. I would say I don't know if I would count this as reality. I mean, it is reality. Titan games. You were a key PA on that, correct?
I was, and that was technically my first time as a key PA with all the responsibilities. I've had the title before, but it's not really the same. And then I've worked on shows where I'm on the only PA. So technically on those shows, I am the key PA.
Well, explain to the people that don't work in the movie industry what a key PA is.
Well, key PA can kind of vary show to show, but for Titan Games, that pretty much made me the head of all the PAs and the go-between between the production coordinators and the production managers. So if they needed a PA, I had to keep track of who was free, who was on break, who was on a run, that kind of thing, and then relay like, okay, so-and-so is free, they can go. Or I can't spare anybody right now, they got to take lunch. So unless you want them to go on a meal penalty, we can't do anybody for that run. So that was kind of the majority of what I had to do. And then we were also sharing the lot with another company. So it was making sure our team wasn't parking in the spots they weren't supposed to, and that movie team crew weren't parking in our spots. That was like the first like 2 or 3 hours of my day was simply just moving people around with parking. It was a nightmare.
Oh man, well I got to work on that show not as a PA. I was an audience member, but hey, it was fun to watch.
Keeping an eye out for people I would know. And do you know Ray J? I think he was the only
Yeah,
guy.
of course I know Ray J. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows Ray J. I think he was the only familiar face that I recognized. I didn't get to be in much of the tapings except for like picking up after your guys' meals was about the only time I really interacted with you folks.
I'm sorry about that. Well, you know me, I would throw it away, but you know some people.
I don't know who genius idea on our crew was to give you guys granola bars, but those were a mess.
Oh my God, dude, they were everywhere. Yeah, we were. That was a 12-hour taping. We will sit our butts down for the first half of the day, and we will have about a couple of hours break. Then the other half of the day. But the fun part was watching this competition. I'm not gonna say what I saw. I'll let you guys watch it. But just watching it, being there, you know, the hype is real. Like once the competition starts, there's no retakes, no redos, because you know it's an actual live competition. They might do some retakes on maybe The Rock reading some lines or stuff like that. But the competition itself was awesome to watch, and you know, being there was cool. And I was gonna tell you, being a key PA on there, did you have to do anything that was involved with The Rock at all?
I didn't. He has his own team of people. He's got his own hairstylist, his own securities. You know, The Rock's one of the biggest, highest paid actors of our time right now. And he is one of the busiest individuals. Like the fact that he's actually filming a movie at the same time that we were doing Titan Games. So while they were down for a week on the film, he was filming what he needed to film for Titan Games. And then at the same time, he was also doing guest appearances on Oprah, and he's also filming spots for his alcohol company. I think he sells whiskey or some kind of spirit that he.
Yeah, he sells some type of alcohol. Yeah, you're right.
So he is like nonstop hustling. He's crazy. He's one of the most driven people I've ever have the privilege of working with. And unfortunately, he wasn't somebody I got to interact with much. Most of the time, it was passing each other on set as he's going out on stage or coming off, and I'm trying to find somebody else and do something. Yeah, he's got his own team and his own group of people that they take care of him, and we handle everything else around him to make sure that he doesn't have to waste his time in his already busy schedule.
Yeah, man. We actually we made a joke about it because one of the days he was late. That's why it took so long for the game to start, and we all started joking. It was like, oh, he's probably filming the movie in the other lot because yeah, it's a movie that hasn't come out yet, so I can talk about it. But we knew what movie it was because we worked on it as extras, as background. And we're like, he's probably doing a shot, and then he comes back to do this. I don't know how he keeps his schedule. He must have an awesome team just for everything he does and still to work out. I also want to give a quick shout out to Jay Flats, who entertained us the whole 2 weeks. Did you get to meet him?
A couple times. I had to run you guys some candy that he would throw you guys and T-shirts and stuff. So I got to interact with him those times. But I heard his show a lot and his stand-up, and he's a funny guy. I'm glad we had him around to keep you guys busy because some of those days were pretty long.
Well, last thing on Titan Games, one big change that happened was that filming moved from LA to Atlanta. Why do you think that happened?
I think it probably had a lot to do with The Rock's schedule because he has a house here now. He's filmed a ton of stuff from the Jumanji movies to the upcoming Disney movies that are going to be out. And I think it just made sense that if they wanted The Rock for a second season and if he wanted to do it, that to film it in a studio the same time they were filming another movie that he was on. It just schedules. It worked out fine. And they shipped all those big set pieces from LA to us. We were getting tons of trucks that first week, and they would have to offload it, and then they would have to coordinate trucks coming in, trucks going out. And then when we were wrapping up the set, they had to dismantle all that, pack it back up, put it on the trucks, get it out of there. And, nobody works faster than a crew on the week of wrap because that set just – It's up one day, and then you come in 2 days later, and it's a completely empty studio, and it blows my mind every time. The folks who work those stages are phenomenal, and the team we had for Titan Games was actually a lot of the people I worked with on Love is Blind, so it was nice seeing those same painters and set decks and all those fun, familiar faces. It helps the crews become family, when you get to work with a lot of the same people again and again and again.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, the Titan Games, set decoration was amazing.
It looked beautiful, and I know a lot of the promotional videos that are out, folks have seen it by now, and it was cool just being in there and walking on the stage, honestly. It's one of my favorite set pieces to have been with. Like, Love is Blind was kind of definitely on a smaller scale, but, a large scale but small set for what it had to be. And Titan Games was this huge thing that was its own beast, and it was awesome to be on.
Yeah, dude, I agree, man. It was awesome. Just being in the crowd, for me, that was amazing. So I'm happy I got to be a part of that. Hopefully it comes back here next year. The last thing I was going to talk about was Mount Olympus. I saw it. It was touching the brim of the roof. How long did it take to put that up and take it down? Was that like the hardest thing or easiest?
Mount Olympus, I think, it was one of the first things they had to put up, honestly, because it's the framework of the stage. It goes almost all the way around where the stage is. And then a lot of the games they bring in after that. So it's hard to say. I know when they assemble it, I think it took 4 or 5 days, and then they were still painting it for a few days after. But when they took it down, it was out of there in like 3 days.
Yeah, man, the way the crews work, even when I saw they were changing the challenges up, because there's a new challenge every time new contestants come out, and how quickly they set up the new challenges to me was amazing. Like, they work like that. It was crazy, dude.
Yeah, those guys are quick, and time is money when it comes to film. So the faster you are, the better it is. And these guys were great at their job. But the head guy in charge of moving the games in and out of the stage was one of the most fantastic people I'd ever worked with. Safety was his priority. He had the respect of his team, and he was just an awesome guy just to almost stand back and watch him coordinate all these moving pieces, because as the game was going out, another game had to come in, and it was rolling across out the doors into a little tent that we had. Well, not a little tent, but a big tent. And so there are cars that are going back and forth, and he's coordinating all of that and making sure everybody's staying safe and moving it and all the pieces. And it was just incredible. Yeah, the team behind Titan Games this season was phenomenal. And I know it's going to reflect it when the episode's there, so I hope everybody watches and enjoys and appreciates all the hard work that went into it, because it was a whole other piece of work. I'm honored to have got to be a part of it. And it being my first job as a key PA, it was fantastic to play a small part in putting it together.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it, dude. And well, talking about, reality TV, I know sometimes crews have to travel. Have you had to travel before for reality TV?
As a PA, it's very rare for us to travel because most of the time it's just cheaper to hire somebody local. But on the rare occasion, I've been greatly privileged to travel 2 or 3 times. I've been to New York for a show, and then another show, Seven Little Johnsons. They took me to South Carolina for the end of not the current season, but last season, because the family went on a trip there for Amber's birthday. I can't remember what age it was for the birthday, and I don't want to say she's older than she actually is. And then for the current season that actually the episodes just aired, they took me to California, and that was a blast. Honestly, I loved getting to see the coast, and I've only ever been there once. I went out to LA for a job interview and got to visit with some friends, but I was only there for like 16 hours. I flew in, job interviewed, worked, slept, and then worked half of a day and then flew back to Atlanta. So getting to see, I was out in California for 14 days, I think. It's hard to remember. This was last summer. We flew into San Diego, loaded the family up in an RV. They drove it up to San Francisco, and we had to follow around behind them because we had like GoPros set up in the RV where you could see what was going on and what the family was doing. And then we stopped at like some noticeable sites and locations, stuff like that, to see a lot of cool bits and things. So I actually had to drive that RV back when the family was done with it because the company we rented it from didn't want us to leave it there. They wanted it back in San Diego. So I had to make the 9+ hour drive by myself in a 32-foot long RV that I have never driven anything that long before. So it was quite frightening, but made it. Nothing happened. Nobody got hurt. And I happily checked into my hotel and went to sleep. Because it's probably the most intense thing I think I've ever had done for a show. And it was very frightening. But once you drive a 30-foot RV, then driving a cargo van or a box truck doesn't seem so bad anymore.
Dude, I have trouble with the little U-Hauls just to move from place to place. That sounds scary. I don't know how you did that, man.
I went around Los Angeles. I kept on the straight roads. We went on the coastal highway when we were going up. So lots of narrow roads, lots of cliff sides.
Right.
I don't know how Trent was able to do that route. I definitely avoided that route going back. I went the wider way, country roads, more straight, lots of more easy mountains to traverse. It was the easier route. And I left at like 6 in the morning. I didn't get in until maybe like 5 p.m. because I was trying to avoid as much of the traffic as possible. And luckily, I think I only had to stop for gas maybe once. And I pushed it as hard as I could because I wanted to not have to go into a town and, try and find a gas station that could fit a 32-foot RV. I was planning around not having to do that. So it was, even though that was a crazy trip there and back, I'm grateful that they took me with because I got to see some cool sights. I got to see the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, got to experience the Little People's Conference while the family was there, got to see a lot of cool stuff on the way, and the coastal sightseeing is beautiful. I love California. I'm hoping I get to go back one day, even just as a tourist, just to see it again and take my time going through it. Because with reality, it's a very set schedule. It's a lot of there wasn't much time to just take in the sights. It was a very rushed experience, but it was nice. I love that I got to go.
That's awesome, dude. What are the logistics to that? Like when they tell you, "Hey, can you be," or where they take you to different cities or different states, are they paying for your hotels or what's going on there?
Usually, for the show, sometimes they'll want you to work as a local, and then you've got to find your own accommodations. So if it's something where you know people in LA and you can work as a local in LA and they can put you up on your couch. But usually for every show I've been on, it's they put you up in a hotel. They'll give you either per diem, so that way you can get food, or they'll feed you throughout the day. It varies show to show. But everything I've been on when I've traveled, it's been they'll put you in a hotel. I've stayed in a great hotel in New York, some very nice places in South Carolina, and then they give you here's $25 a day, get it for groceries or food, whatever. It varies. And in New York, we worked so often that they were paying for first meal, and then we got second meal most of the time. So it was didn't even have to worry about per diem for that show.
But yeah, I understand why they want some people to be local, and they're usually looking for local people so that they don't have. They're smaller productions, they're bigger productions, and that's for reality. Even if it's like movies, like a feature film. I remember this was on Jungle Cruise. I just remember the hairdresser, the hairstylist. He was like, "Oh, I'm from Hawaii, but they brought me out here." I'm like, "That's amazing." They're outsourcing. They know the people from the union. They know who they want for the bigger jobs. Everything else they find locally. But I just think that's cool that they take you guys to these other states, other cities to work. I think that's pretty cool. And you get to see some new places, like you said, California, which is awesome. And California is usually the dream for the filmmaker. But we've been blessed with work here in Georgia. Luckily, they open up a lot of new studios. A lot of shows, movies, the tax credit, right to work state. So extras are pretty cheap. PAs too. Yeah, man. And one last reality show I wanted to talk to you about was Little Women Atlanta. Correct? You worked on that?
Yes, I did. I've done a couple seasons on that show. Not actually fallen out of touch with it, so I'm not even sure if there or when there's going to be another season. I know I worked on the previous season and the one before that. And it was actually the second show in Atlanta that I ever worked on.
Yeah. Well, how fast paced was that show for you? Was it fast paced at all or regular pace? Because I know I worked reality before, and they need us on the spot. If there's a fight, if something's about to go down, you got to be ready. Was it fast paced for you on Little Women?
Little Women was pretty fast paced because most of the time we would do 3 or 4 locations a day. We would do stuff at their house, or if they were meeting up at a restaurant to talk over a scene or do an activity. We were going a lot of different places. And so we'd only have, such amount of time. And then you also got to get to where we're going to be eating. So Little Women Atlanta was definitely very fast paced just because they're very set to the schedules. The girls have to be there at a certain time. So we have to be very strict on our schedule. And the production manager on that, who's a good friend of mine, Jordan Rhodes, he's gotten me on a lot of things since then. I've worked on him with Titan Games, worked on him with Love is Blind. So he's taken me along on a lot of things. And he's great at, keeping things moving, finding out what we need to do next. And that's the key to reality is once something started, always think of what's going to happen next and what we need to have ready in the wings in the next scene, the scene after that, and even, the next day. It's always thinking ahead and planning. And Little Women Atlanta was definitely one of those shows where you had to keep track of where the girls were, where the crew were, what you needed for that scene, all that stuff.
Yeah, man, because I've seen Little Women in Atlanta. You know, you have some day scenes, then you have some night shooting. Is that the same crew, or do they have new crews for when they're doing like a nightclub scene or something like that?
It all kind of depended upon the schedule. If we had a night thing to do that night, then we usually would just, start later in the day kind of thing. We were never
Gotcha.
really set to like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. kind of thing. And so, well, if we got later activities, then come in at 8 or come in at like 2 to so on. We didn't do too much night things most of the time. I know the one big thing I remember is the twins had to do a rap battle concert at a location downtown, and or actually pretty close to Little Five Points, and that was pretty fun. Just because we had a lot of people for that, because it was a big crowd. I think we had like 5 or 6 of the girls there, so we had a couple more extra PAs, couple camera setups, and but yeah, if we have to shoot night, then very rarely do we bring in another crew. It's either schedule that accordingly or overtime.
Yeah, don't do morning and night shooting. It's not fun. I- I've done it for background. You know, I go from one background from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'm on another one. It's not good for you. Don't ever do that.
It will drain you.
It will, it will burn your brain. Well, okay, now that we talked about you being behind the camera, I want to talk to you about being in front of it a little bit. And I just want to ask you, because this wasn't part of my original questions, but now that I saw your background, were you on Stranger Things?
It's funny. I've tried to be on Stranger Things last season 3. Yeah, I think 3. So I got booked twice. The first day I was there for 15 hours, didn't get used at all. There was like 7 or 8 of us. There wasn't a whole lot. It was just, they wanted to have people on standby to like walk by windows kind of thing. And yeah, they didn't use any of us. So I showed up, I read my book, I ate my lunch, I read my book, and then signed my sheet and went home. And
You
then the
got a
second
paycheck.
day, same thing. I was there for 15 hours. I think they maybe used a couple of us, but otherwise, yeah, we didn't do squat, which was good because they had me in these really unflattering short shorts that I'm glad I did not have to appear on camera in.
My friends were, they had mullets, they had short shorts, just their wardrobe was, very 80s,
Yeah. But this season, I had my hair kind of long, and I was about to get a cut, and then I realized, oh, Stranger Things is shooting again for season 4. So I tried to get on that, and I ended up getting booked for a couple of days, which was fun. Can't talk about it because it's very hush hush, and it's one of the few things that they have you sign an NDA for. But I think I got to be on camera. We'll see when the episodes come out, and it was fun to finally be on screen for it. So hopefully my stuff doesn't get cut.
Yeah, dude, every time I try to grow my hair for it, they cut my hair for a different show. Yeah, and it's unintentionally. It's funny how it happens. And on my last episode, I actually talked about this. And yeah, it just every time. So like, I think it was for season 2. I was ready. My hair was long. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, called me to be a soldier. Buzz cut. I'm like, on one hand, Godzilla. On the other hand,
Really wanted to work on Godzilla. I think it was under the secret title Fathom.
Yeah,
And
Fathom.
I
That was
didn't
a
find
secret
out
title.
what that was until like the last few days of casting. And I think by that point they were only looking for soldiers and just not fit enough for soldiers. So usually I don't get picked for that kind of thing unless it's like huge crowd stuff.
Yeah,
And
dude.
so I
That's
was
cool.
bummed because I loved King of Monsters. It was a great movie. I wish I'd gotten to be on it.
dude, it was such a good movie. It was, besides the human interactions, and everybody already talked about that, so I'm not gonna get into it. But the monster fighting was amazing. The monsters, the way it looked, I never thought in my lifetime I will see like monsters look that real, that amazing on screen. Because you have the older Godzillas, but the CGI was on point. It was great. The scenes I got to do, I'll talk about it quickly, was just looking at the blue screen. But in my mind, I'm like picturing Godzilla and Mothra, and then when I got to see it on screen, I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. Like they did it right with the monsters, and Yeah, well, the one good thing that came out from that movie is that the starting, role for that was Millie Bobby Brown. So in a way, I got to be like, oh, look, it's 11, and she talked to us. She said hello, very nice girl. So that was cool.
The science teacher from Stranger Things is in there too. He pops up briefly as well.
Yes. Yes.
Lots of Atlanta talent, I think. If I watch the movie, do I see you, or is it?
No, they cut my scene.
Oh,
So okay, so it's a good thing you talked about that. I'm gonna post a picture of. I took a quick picture of myself with the makeup they put. I didn't take a picture of the set or anything, just my makeup in the bathroom. So nothing special about the background, but the makeup they put on me was burnt makeup, and because like something happened to our plane, the main big plane. Do you remember? I forgot the name of it, but the main one where everybody's on it. Yeah, I was on that crew, and I think we crashed or we got hit. Oh no, we got hit by like one of the lightning bolts from. Is it Ghidorah? No. So yeah, I had the makeup from when the Ghidorah, they had like the lightning and it hit our plane and it burned my face and the camera started on me, and one of the actors saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And they completely cut that, which it happens, in this industry we know that happens. They cut some scenes. Maybe you'll be in the deleted scenes, but yeah, you won't see me. You would. I'm very blurry. I know where I am because I worked on it, but you can't see me. They cut the scene that was visible, but that was still a fun movie. That was a fun movie to be a part of, and I'm excited for the next one. Is it versus Kong, right?
I think so. I hope so. I heard that King of Monsters didn't do as well as they were hoping, so I think Godzilla versus Kong is still up in the air. But I'm pumped for it. I hope it comes out. Even though I didn't really care too much for Skull Island, King of Monsters kind of rejuvenated my enthusiasm for it. So I'm hoping. I have high hopes.
Yeah, dude. Well, did you know, dude, that you and me worked on the first Marvel DC crossover movie?
Did we?
Yes. The name is I Tonya.
Ah, yes.
You get my reference, right? Harley Quinn and the Winter Soldier. We were making that joke all night. No one laughed. Well, that was a fun movie we got to be a part of. We got to dress up, 90s. And you were featured on that, man. You were like highly slow motion featured, right? That was cool.
It was a pretty awesome shot. I honestly thought it was going to get cut because it was honestly one of the worst experiences I had as an extra was on that set. Just because one, I almost died because we were filming in like an old abandoned mall. I don't know if you were there for those days.
No, I was not.
Me and another guy were positioned down the hallway. We were going to, start walking towards them. And then like they just, they moved us around a lot. So the PA put us there and then a different PA moved us back like 5 feet or so. And like 10 seconds later, a light bulb just fell out of the ceiling and just shattered on the floor. And not like, one of those little ones. It's one of those big, like, like globe shaped things.
Right.
Just fell out of the ceiling where we were standing.
Oh,
So yeah, I probably wouldn't have died. I would have gotten my bell rung, and probably definitely would have hurt. And folks were concerned, but it's like, no, it didn't happen. We were okay. And then on top of that, for the shot that I'm featured in with the slow motion close up, it was the whole reason I got picked is because I had a camera with a flash on it, and they wanted that for the shot. So they're looking around to see who has it. They see I have one. They point to me. They bring me in, and they say, "So you're going to be taking a photo, and you're yelling at Tonya." So I start like pushing the photo and just kind of mouth, because they tell you as an extra you don't ever actually say anything. You're supposed to mouth. So that's what I do out of being told thousands of times don't talk, you just mouth. So I'm there. Just mouthing. And then they're no, you actually say something. I was like, okay, Tonya. No, you got to hold the camera up. And it was like the DP, the AD, and like the key PA, all three of them were telling me different things. And instead of somebody taking the time to be like, come up and say, okay, this is a shot, camera. You're going to start with the camera up here, take the photo, bring it down, yell, go back up, take another photo. Could have done that. Would have gotten it done in like maybe 2 shots. But no, it's go stand there, take a photo. No, you need to be yelling Tonya. And then, no, you need to be looking this way. You need the camera up here. No, camera down there. It is very, very poor communication. So I didn't even think the shot turned out the way they wanted it with how all the stupid stuff that was going on behind the scenes with it. But then there was the shot made it in, and my buddy in LA, when he saw it, kind of freaked out, and he was the only one in his group who recognized me, and he just like was like, "Dude, are you in I Tonya? Do you have like a slow motion shot?" And I was like, I thought I was. I don't know. You'll have to tell me, because I was there for most of the day, and we did 2 or 3 or 4 different things. So I didn't even know which one he was talking about. But I eventually did see the movie myself and got to see the moment, and it was pretty cool. It's even though it was a rough experience, it's a neat shot to be a part of, and being in a great movie helps too.
Oh yeah, dude. I saw you in theaters too. I'm like, that's James. Like, that's James screaming Tonya. That was great. Even though I didn't know how the experience was, and you almost got a light bulb thrown on your head, but you made it, dude. You made it in.
Even though it was a rough experience, it was a great movie that I'm happy that I got to be a part of, and an even great shot to top it.
Yeah, I'm happy I got to see, Margot Robbie and Sebastian Stan. And the one cool little like funny story I have about I, Tonya is that I was a reporter when Sebastian Stan is getting arrested. So, they did the take 4 or 5 times, and Sebastian Stan will pass by me, and they let us talk. They just wanted us to be like crazy, like, did you do it? Did you do it? So I got bored of doing that, and I started asking him random questions. I'm like, why won't they let you in the Avengers? And he just looked at me like, what the hell? It's like, is this kid serious? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, Stan, is that mustache real? And he's just like, I'm like, okay, I'll stop. I think he had fun with it. I'm like, why can't you be in the Avengers? And he just had fun with it. But it did turn out to be a good movie, dude. Because yeah, miscommunication on that movie for sure. They didn't know how they wanted the shots or who they wanted it in it, but at the end of the day, they pulled it through, and it came out to be a great movie.
Yeah, for sure. It was a fantastic movie.
The one show I did want to talk to you about, the one TV show that you and me have worked on together as well, is The Walking Dead, which is a huge show. I think that's one of the shows that helped put Georgia on the map. Do you agree?
Since it's been in Georgia since season 1, and it's going to stick around for as long as possible, because a lot of the cast live here and a lot of the crew live here. So, yeah, it helped solidify Georgia, I think, as a state that was worth shooting in.
Yes. I remember when I found out it was shot in Georgia, I just thought, just that first episode, him going through Atlanta, those empty streets, I thought that was very cool. We all have that picture on the bridge, on the famous bridge. Yeah, we all have that. Every time a family member comes from a different state or country, they're like, can we go to the bridge? I'm like, sure. And I'm like, I'll just Photoshop you in if you want, because, been through it a million times. But you and me got to be Kingdom on that show. That, to me, was one of the funnest things I've done on that show. I felt like I was wearing battle armor. And you were featured on that as well, correct?
I was. I got to be part of like a King Ezekiel's like A squad of soldiers in season 8. But I actually was back in season 7 too. I got to be on it when we shot in Fort McPherson. Were you there when we were in Fort McPherson?
I was there for a day. I was there in the day when we were like leaving for war, but no, that was not season 7 though. I was only season 8.
I was there for one day in season 7, pretty much Carol's first day at the Kingdom. And for that stuff, I'm not very featured. I'm all background, my back's to the camera kind of thing. But that's one of my favorite sets. Like, they made it look so great, and it was huge because they had to cover a lot of ground where the old fort used to be. And when we came back to it for season 8, when we had to do the scene before we all went to war, and everything's just kind of they had to shoot around a lot of what's being torn down and replaced and, being taken apart. It was sad seeing the set go from what it was to what it is now. But yeah, I got to be a part of like King Ezekiel's A team of soldiers. There was 6 of us in the beginning, and it was great. I loved being on The Walking Dead. It's one of my favorite things I've been an extra on, because it's most shows it's sit at the bar, pretend to drink, or stand over there, pretend to talk. On The Walking Dead, it's run around, shoot, pretend not to get eaten by walkers, shoot the saviors, don't get shot. There's a lot more imagination involved into it, and you get to be into it a lot more than some other shows. And it helps that the actors who play Ezekiel and Carol and all his lieutenants were some of the nicest people in the world to work with. The guy who plays King Ezekiel, Peyton, learned the 6 of ours names. We didn't go up and talk to him. We didn't introduce ourselves. When we showed up, we did our work. We're super professional. If they talk to us, we talk to them. But otherwise, stay back, let them do their thing. But Peyton learned each of our names from, just looking at the call sheet and knowing who was who. And he took the time to do that. And he, on The Talking Dead, after the episodes aired, when we all met our untimely demise, he gave us all a big shout out as being some of the best extras he's ever had the chance to work with. So that was super nice of him. And he and Cooper Andrews, they were just all super great folks. Melissa McBride had to. There was a scene where a savior tosses a grenade at us, and it goes off, and it opens up a door, and a bunch of walkers come spilling out, and it kicks up this big dust cloud. So we all had to be dusted down and stuff, and that crap gets in your eyes, and they were doing eye washes a lot. And I had a moment where I was I can't really see. It's kind of twitching. My eyes are kind of messed up, and Melissa McBride saw me kind of struggling out of the corner of her eye, and she goes, wait 1 second. Can you see? Are you all right? Can we get an eye wash over here for him? He's having some trouble. So she I was kind of no, I'm fine. We'll do the shot. Let's film it. Don't stop because of me, because you don't want to be one of those special extras that
Right.
are thanks for coming in. You don't need to come in tomorrow.
Right.
That kind of situations. But no, she was super nice. She was she had the ladies who were in charge of the eyes and the contacts. They came over, washed me out real quick, and I was good to go. And it was little things like that. They're super nice to their extras. The crew's really great because a lot of them have been on there since the beginning or multiple seasons. It was a great experience. And I know you ended up joining us a few days into that. Actually, I think didn't you play the Savior and the Kingdomer? And you were wearing multiple hats for those days for sure.
Season 8, I just wore multiple hats. I've been a Walker, Kingdom, Savior. I've been on, both sides. I die and I come back. They can't kill me. They can't put me down. And I did talk about that in the last episode where, but I think Kingdom was the funnest for me.
I liked it. I think we got put with a great team of actors that they're not too super serious or into the characters all the time. It was a group of folks who didn't mind having fun on set. There's a photo that I have up on my Facebook. I could probably send it to you if you want to post it up in the video of us. The script supervisor was doing a group photo of all of us just kind of lined up in the woods when we're setting an ambush for a bunch of saviors. And Carrie Payton just turns around and says, all right, on 3, everybody jump in the air. And he goes, 1, 2, 3. And we all jump and do the freeze frame.
I'm in that picture. I'm in the back. I'm in it, but in the back.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I'm so glad that they got that photo to us. I think somebody, I want to say another extra, Matt, emailed the script supervisor. Somehow he got a hold of her and she passed it on to us. So that photo is awesome. I love it, and it's one of my favorite mementos from being involved in that show because the moment was just a blast.
Yeah, were you also that day that we as Kingdom turned into walkers, and then we all took a picture with King Ezekiel?
I was there that day, but I missed out on that photo. I can't remember
No.
why. I think I was walking away for some reason when it happened. So unfortunately, I'm not even in that shot.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry, but hey, but you got that experience. You kind of got to have that little like small group before the rest of the kingdom people came in. That you got to interact with them. The guy who plays King Ezekiel, I can't remember his name right now, but he's super nice, like you said. One day it started raining. He had a huge umbrella. He told me and another guy that were near him to get under it with him. So we just had like a 5 minute conversation with him. And the other guy that was under the umbrella, he was like freaking out. And he was like still in character. He's like, "You're such a good king." I'm like, "We're not rolling, but okay." He's like, "You're such a good king." I'm like, "Okay." I guess, he was just starstruck. I was too. I was like, "This is awesome. Such a cool guy. Such a nice guy."
I hope I get another chance to work with him again on something because he was super nice. I haven't been able to get back on The Walking Dead, unfortunately. I think since I was featured so much, I'm in a bunch of background shots, like one of like three people in the shot kind of thing. So fortunately, I don't think they can use me unless I drastically change my look. Wish I could grow a beard, but
Hey, don't. They can call you back. Just like me, for some reason, I have a very like forgettable face. So they're like, "Has he been on there?" Nah, bring him back. Cause the other time I was on there after Kingdom, I was one of like Negan's people, not a warrior, but like people in the what's it called? His place, the sanctuary. That's it. So yeah, so after being a Kingdom, I got to be one of the people in the sanctuary, and I'm like kneeling for like 5 hours because that was our shot. I was kneeling and him pointing his bat at us, and that was like the shot. Him making his speech for like 5 hours straight, and I was just like hiding my face. I'm like, "Oh, I want him to call me back." I'm just like this, very into character. And I'm like, "This is crazy."
you got killed as a savior too in one of the raids. They like knocked the door open and shotgun blast.
Yes.
And that was before Kingdom. So I started as a savior, got shot. I will post that picture up, and then came as a Kingdom. Then got back to be a savior. It was, I don't know.
That's all in like the same like 3 episode span too. It was you get shot, you die in one episode, and then you show up in as a kingdomer in the next one. It's hilarious.
I know. I'm gonna make up my own little backstory. They'll have to give me a spin-off series. So, the last days of being Kingdom, we got to be walkers. Did you enjoy being alive or more of being a walker? Because it's The Walking Dead. What did you enjoy a little bit more?
Tough one. It was lots of fun being a walker. I'm not gonna lie. I got to be featured walker a couple of the days, which is they just put like more detailed prosthetics on you when you're more towards the front of the crowd. Like the people in the back just had like a spray makeup, and that was about it. And then we had like some prosthetics. I saved one of the cheek prosthetics. They probably wouldn't be happy to know about that, but like I was talking to the makeup people and like, "No, we can't." And then she walked away, and I just kind of grabbed it out of the trash can and saved it. So I've saved the hole that was in my cheek. I've got that as a memento. And walkers are different. You don't really think about it when you're watching the show, but it's not like how a lot of zombies are in most forms of media. Like, arms up, that kind of thing. They're very much, it's your hands are at your side, you're leaning forward, and you're going towards food, is what they tell you. And you're gnarling, you're moaning, you're making a lot of animalistic type noises, and when you're close to food, you go for it kind of thing. So it's a lot of little things that they don't really you don't really think of as you're watching the show, and then when you're in it, and then they're giving you like how to do it. And I don't know if you were there at the same time we were. We got thrown kind of a very quick walker camp. Like some of the folks who come back as walkers again and again and again over multiple seasons, they had like training and they went through like a whole camp. We had like kind of quick, like 20 minutes, here's what you do. And then let's see if you can react to being shot and being hit kind of thing. And luckily I was one of the people who could do pretend getting shot well. There was a couple of people who could not, and they got gently pushed to the back of the.
Uh, yeah, I was. I'll just say quickly that one scene they told me I got shot in. I got shot on as a savior. It took me seven takes.
7 takes, damn.
I'm not an actor.
And I will always say this: I'm more of a camera guy, and I did not volunteer for that. They just pulled me. I guess I had like the right look just for that one quick little scene, and I didn't know how to fall, and I was just like, and then the director will come in like, no, can you just like, quickly and fall, don't hurt yourself, and I wasn't doing it right. On the 7th take, they're like, okay, we got it, and I'm like, they didn't get it, they're gonna cut it out, and then once they got my take, they said it's a wrap. So everybody was waiting on me. I felt so bad. I'm like, shit. They were like, it's a wrap. I'm like, dude, it was horrible. But going back to what you were saying, so you were one of the ones that was able to get like shot, right?
They wanted to see if I could react to getting shot or just like react to being like knocked out. So, but my death came through a blunt axe handle to the side of the face, courtesy of Cooper Andrews, Jerry, which is the person I was absolutely hoping would get to kill me. And that whole setup took quite a few takes, just because there was a bunch of different pieces of different angles, and we rehearsed it a bunch. And I kept messing up because they would be like, okay, we're going to do it, but you don't actually have to take the fall, just kneel down out of frame. And then I would always mess up if it was a kneel or if it was fall. And I was always playing it kind of more, rather be safe than sorry and just do the fall and get knocked out, because I'd rather be that instead of, no, you kneeled and you ruined the whole thing,
That's true, man. I mean, but that's fun. Like you said, on some background, it's just like walk over here, walk over there, sit down. This is the most action we get to do as background, and not make it count as a stunt. Just getting shot. That's almost like doing a stunt without being a stunt guy, without being a stunt double. So I thought that was so cool. That was so much fun, and being part of that. And you're right. Zombie School. I'm an alumni. I got to do Zombie School. Yeah, they don't need it because they'll teach you in 10-20 minutes, and whoever does it the best, like you said, they'll push to the front, and the other people more towards the back. And but that was a really cool experience. Though those couple of weeks that we got to work on there, even being a dead body on the ground, because I got to be on the ground. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy it.
I think that was our last day, honestly. Like, they brought us in just to kind of lie down in the background of a shot as the main guys get away. So we were there for, I don't even think we were there for the whole day, were we? We were there for maybe like 6 or 8 hours. Didn't seem like the whole time.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't the longest day, no.
We were just literally lying down dead.
And we have some fans. I've had some people. This is the weirdest thing. Some people from Europe. They're like, "Hey, what's your name?" I'm like, "Jorge." They're like, "Okay, is this you?" And they're like, "Show me a screenshot." Did you get that?
I did. I got that in like a group text on Instagram for a bunch of us. They were trying to fill out, I guess, the Walking Dead Wikipedia, and they were trying to identify a bunch of people. And it was nuts. Like, you don't think people would go through the trouble of doing that, but they do.
Yeah, for background, for extras,
And how they found us. I mean, I guess I might have tagged a couple of things, so that might have been why they were able to identify me and a few other people. But it's crazy they went through that trouble. And yeah, it's nuts. But I'm officially, I think, survivor number 76 or team member number 76.
I know that. I think it's crazy, dude. And then we also had the what's it called? The stalking? No, the spoiling dead.
Yes.
They will come to set and they will hide and they they will try to get as much shots of everybody and they will post it on Facebook. It's called the spoiling dead. I think that page is still up, right?
Maybe, probably.
Yeah.
They got a couple photos of us when it was the day they did the grenade being thrown scene. They had the 6 of us several times with photos of us.
That's true, man. Well, this has been fun, man. Did you have any background that was memorable to you? Some extra that you were like, wow, this is amazing being a part of. Anything that you can remember that you like love being on? Like for me, for example, it was like Avengers. Being on that set to me was amazing. Did you have anything, or maybe The Walking Dead was it?
The Walking Dead was a lot of fun, but one of the things I will fondly remember is the second thing I was ever an extra on was this Liam Neeson movie called Felt. It was about the FBI agent. So it was a period piece. I think it was like in the 60s, 70s. Not really sure. But I worked 3 or 4 days on that. It was something I was originally was supposed to be on Halt and Catch Fire. And then the night before, casting emails me or calls me. I was like, we need people for tomorrow. Or are you free for tomorrow? I was like, yeah, cool. Can you go do a costume try on right now, tonight? I was like, yeah, sure. And they rushed me out. We did the costume try on. And so I went there the very next day. And I was late. I was panicking because I was still relatively new to the industry. So I thought, oh, they're waiting on me. I'm holding up the show. I'm ruining this whole movie. It's all my fault. And then I get there. I was like, okay, go through wardrobe, hair and makeup. And then I end up sitting someplace for 2 hours. So it was kind of a reality check of, oh, yeah, I wasn't that important right then. So I do get pulled out of a lineup of like 3 other guys. They're like, it's going to be him. I ended up doing a big featured scene. I got to meet Liam Neeson. I messed up the scene, and he was like, it's okay, man. It'll be all right. You're doing good. You're doing fine. Don't worry about it. So he was super nice to me. He introduced himself to me. He was like, hi, I'm Liam. It's nice to meet you. So he wasn't like off in his own little bubble doing stuff. He was friendly, very nice. He's one of the nicest people I've ever had the privilege of getting to meet. And then I got to go back on set. I think, yeah, it was 3 or 4 days. It was just like, hey, can you work tomorrow? Yeah, hey, can you work tomorrow? Yeah. And so they just kept bringing me back. All my stuff got cut. I never made it into the final version of the movie, which is kind of disappointing because I was looking forward to it. And it was a very featured little scene. It was literally just me and Liam Neeson in a moment where I'm like pushing files out of a door. So that was disappointing, but it was a great experience. I got to meet a lot of the same people that I've seen tons of times on set since then. And it was a fun time. And it was the same casting guys who did Walking Dead. So it's pretty much, I think I got Walking Dead from that because, I was reliable. They called me in. They said I was able to go in whenever they needed me. I think it helped me get on Walking Dead pretty much.
That's awesome, man. Well, this has been a lot of fun, man. I'm happy you came on, talking movies to somebody again, because because of quarantine, we've all been isolated. But this has been a lot of fun, and you telling us about your experiences in front and behind the camera. Thank you so much for being on with us today, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm honored that you brought me on. I can't wait to share the episode.
Awesome, and hopefully I could have you back for I'm planning a Walking Dead episode. So I want somebody from every part of the kingdom. You got the saviors and also, so we'll do that, and I'll let you know when we get on that. But thank you, James Stacey. This has been fun. Don't forget, guys, to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and YouTube, and tune in for the next episode. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man.